Episode 65, Aging Gracefully and Hot Flashes. Good evening, I am Tomasz Guevara, and this is the channel Rewriting the Reality. In today's episode 65, we are going to talk about a special theme for women, aging gracefully and hot flashes. Subscribe to this channel to understand your beliefs and their influence on your life. This is a perfect opportunity for you to practice catching yourself and telling yourself something different. Even though you do not believe it yet, it does not matter that you don't believe it. You do not have to believe it yet. But catch yourself in those discounting thoughts and then tell yourself something different. You don't have to tell yourself that you have the face and body of someone that is 30 years old, or that you have the face and the body of yourself when you were 30 years old or even 40 years old. But telling yourself that your appearance reflects you in your expressions, what I would say to you is that lines on your face are created by repeated actions. That's all they are. Genuinely, that is all they are. Even babies begin to have lines on their faces, depending upon whether they are very happy. They begin to have lines around their eyes, even as very, very young children. And they don't go away, because they are associated with repetitive actions that the child is doing. And this is what you do throughout your life. You use your face especially, being very expressive. This is one of the most expressive elements of yourself and of your body, your face. This is how you interact with other people. It's part of how you communicate with other people. It's what reflects your mood. It reflects much of what you feel. If you are an individual who notices that you have considerable lines around your mouth that are moving in a downward motion, then smile more. It will change them. It will be because it pulls your face in a different direction. You don't express that it's bad that you create new grooves in your brain. But then nobody sees your brain. Therefore, it's acceptable that your brain creates new wrinkles. And they are wrinkles, but you think of that as being good because it means you are using more of your brain. When you have many lines on your face, it means you are using your face a lot concerning how you are engaging with other people. Look at a 10-year-old. Does a 10-year-old need moisturizer? Yes, they do, because they're already moving in that direction. But if you haven't been doing these practices since you were 10 years old, then it genuinely doesn't matter how much moisturizers you use with your face. It will help you use moisturizers on other parts of your body, and it will help with the appearance and the condition of your skin on other parts of your body because they dehydrate very easily, and it helps your skin to not thin as much. You must be consuming what you think of as large amounts of water. This is not going to change the wrinkles that you already have, but it will likely prevent more wrinkles occurrences. But that also depends on how you're using your face, because if you're smiling, then you're going to create those lines. After all, that's your face moving in the direction of reflecting how you're using it. And in that, that's not bad. In Western culture, which would include Europe, the United States, and the United Kingdom, those would be what you would classify as Western cultures. And in Western cultures, you have this perception about appearance, that wrinkles it's bad. Unless it adheres to a very specific and narrow guideline, then it's unacceptable. And in that, it's very unrealistic, very unrealistic. There are many people throughout the world in other cultures that recognize that your appearance, as you age, reflects you, your personality, your life, what you've accomplished, whether you are a positive individual or whether you're a negative individual. They see what type of energy you normally project, and by observing your appearance, they express a genuine appreciation of that. Regeneration is not reversing. It's simply expressing the communication to your body to function in its normal capacity, which is to continuously create more cells, to constantly be moving in a direction of procreating your cells throughout your body. It isn't reversing age, and it doesn't reverse what you've already created. It simply moves you in a direction in which you are not creating degeneration. Therefore, with your organs, you aren't degenerating them, and therefore they continue to function properly. With your body, your muscles, and your bones, continue to function properly, and they are functioning efficiently, that is not inclined to breakage. Therefore there are very good reasons to be expressing that communication to yourself concerning regeneration, but it's not the fountain of youth. It's not reversing whatever you've already created. But what is the most important? What have I expressed to all of you repeatedly, over and repeatedly? What creates your reality? Your perception. And what is the most influencing piece about your perception? What you pay attention to and what you concentrate on is what influences your perception the most. Our perception is the projector that creates all our reality. If you're concentrating on something that you are repulsed by or that you hate, that's what you're going to create more of. Because the basic principle of consciousness is what? You always create more. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. You always create more. Always. Therefore, the wondrous part of that is, that if you are paying attention to something that you like, if you are paying attention to what you appreciate, if you are paying attention to what you enjoy, you create more of it automatically. If you pay attention to your appearance, you will create an image that will be attractive throughout your life. Even at the age of 80 or 90 years of age, you will still be creating an attractiveness that other individuals at the same age are not expressing, because you concentrate on appreciating and liking your appearance for so many years, for so long. Now it's simply a matter of recognizing and accepting your age. That doesn't mean your life is over. Accepting that you are 80 or 90 years of age and that you are attractive. You're not 40 years of age and attractive, you're 90 years old and attractive. And in that, you're still spry. You are still moving in a direction in which you are engaging, and you are intelligent, and you are alert, and expanding, and you're continuously expanding. That is tremendous. Therefore, what I would recommend to you, stop disliking yourself. Now let's talk about hot flashes. Two factors produce the hot flashes. One incorporates your beliefs with aging and changes with the body consciousness, but the other is physiological, in which the body consciousness is reconstructing itself. It is transitioning to function differently. The female body consciousness is designed, as you are aware, to bear children, but only for a period. And in this, as that time moves to a close, the body's consciousness is readjusting itself to return itself to the state that it was before you began menses. Your beliefs influence some of the symptoms of that, for you incorporate beliefs concerning aging, and your perception about aging is that your body is changing more in a deterioration state than in a regeneration state. It is returning itself to its natural state before menses, the effectingness of what you term to be hot flashes. This is also a combination of both. There is a physiological aspect that is occurring in which the hormonal expression of estrogen. This hormone in female individuals begins to influence the regulation of body temperature. It travels to your physical brain, and it serves a function to help, not to regulate entirely, but to help regulate your physical body temperature, which is a function that is related to childbearing. Your body consciousness is designed differently from the male body consciousness to support another form, another life, so to speak. Therefore, your body's consciousness must adjust its body temperature to support that other life. In this, estrogen, one of its functions, not all its functions, is to influence a certain area of the physical brain to regulate your body temperature. When you enter the state of menopause, or what you term to be pre or prior menopause, you are generating that action of returning your body consciousness to that original state in which the production of this hormone is not as necessary. Therefore, the production of it decreases tremendously. But your body consciousness has become accustomed to that hormone influencing your body temperature. When that stops occurring, when the estrogen is no longer involved in regulating your body temperature, your body reacts. Your physical brain is not being fed that component any longer, which it has become very accustomed to. Therefore, for a time framework, it is confused, and its ability to regulate temperature is adjusting. When you are small, your ability to regulate body temperature is somewhat, not entirely, but somewhat, influenced by your environment. It is less influenced by your environment when you are producing that estrogen, that hormone, for it is substituting and it is involved more. When that stops occurring, the body consciousness incorporates a time framework. It seems to be a lengthy time framework, but it is temporary. And it is relatively short. But it is generating an adjustment and attempting to reconfigure your energy to now include environmental temperature as an influence of your body temperature. Not that it will be the only influence, but it becomes another influence again, a more significant influence. For more women, it may be challenging to recall, but as a small one, if you cannot recall your own experience, you can observe small ones now. Their body temperature is influenced by their environment, but they maintain, in a manner of speaking, a more stable body temperature. You will notice that small ones tolerate cold much more than an adult. A small one will easily run into a cold environment without a coat and not be bothered. For a time frame, eventually, it will affect them, but their tolerance is much greater. Their body automatically regulates more easily, and they retain heat much more easily. Infants retain heat much greater than adults. Generally, adults overdress infants consistently, but they do not require that insulation. Their body automatically holds heat. Now, when you move into this transitional period, your body consciousness remembers that it incorporates the ability to retain heat. It merely becomes confused about when to retain heat. Therefore it begins experimenting, and it is retaining heat but in an unbalanced capacity, and therefore, momentarily, and for some individuals frequently, that retention of heat becomes somewhat overwhelming and you generate this action of a hot flash, which is a release of that energy, that your body consciousness is unnecessarily storing heat, and it begins to recognize, too much, and it releases it, and you feel very warm and you release this burst of energy, this burst of heat. Which is also the reason that generally immediately after a hot flash the individual feels cold and sweats. Sweat is a natural action, for that is the body's consciousness naturally generating its cooling system. But once again, it is out of balance, therefore you sweat and you become cooled too quickly and you become chilled. That is temporary. There are actions that you can engage in that can be helpful. What you consume to an extent, not entirely, but to an extent, does affect you. Because the more types of food that you consume, that are designed for or that the body consciousness recognizes as insulating foods, that contribute to the body's function of generating heat, foods in that type of category, the less you engage those types of foods, the less you are communicating to the body consciousness that it requires insulating. Insulating foods are denser foods. Denser foods would be meats. Not all meats, starches, dairy. This is not to say that you must stop consuming any of these, but to pay attention and moderate them. Consume less of them. You can choose in some situations to substitute a different type of food that is less dense for some of these foods that are more dense and that are instructing the body's consciousness to be insulating. You will notice that most individuals who reside in locations that incorporate seasonal changes eat differently in winter than they do in the summer. In the summer, you are more likely to be consuming less dense foods, for you automatically, without thinking, know that your body consciousness does not need to retain heat, therefore you automatically begin to consume less dense foods. In winter, you consume automatically more dense foods. You express that they are comfortable foods. You consume more meat. You are likely to consume more foods that are consistent with stews, which you view as comfort food. The reason they are comfortable food is that they suggest warmth. Potatoes are consumed much more in the winter than they are in the summer. They are also much more dense food, and in that, they generate more fuel for heat. Therefore, that is one action that you can pay attention to, what you are consuming. The denser the food is, the more likely it is that it will encourage these hot flashes, for it is communicating to the body consciousness, produce heat. Another action that you can incorporate is to pay attention to your environmental temperature. You can regulate, to an extent, your environmental temperature, and in that, lower the environmental temperature. Not too low, for that communicates to the body consciousness, now you need to produce heat, but experiment. What is ideal is to generate an environmental temperature that complements your body temperature and encourages it to be expressed more evenly. But a lower temperature environmentally is beneficial in these situations. Another action that you can do is to incorporate rose quartz. And allow yourself to find a rose quartz stone that is comfortable for you. I would suggest that you incorporate one relatively small that you can hold comfortably in the palm of your hand. I would suggest that it be more round so that you can hold it in your fist. Therefore, you can easily carry it with you at any time framework. You can place it in your pocket, therefore, it is easily accessible, and I would suggest that you develop a habit. Develop a habit of holding it. Carrying it with you, holding it. It is not necessary to even pay attention to it. Rose quartz is an interesting stone, for its primary function is to absorb. It naturally absorbs energy. Therefore, if you are holding this stone frequently, it is constantly absorbing your energy and will help regulate your body temperature. In other time frameworks, if you are in a location or a situation that perhaps it may be more difficult for you to regulate the environmental temperature, you are not in your home, or if you are in your home and you may be experiencing a time framework, a day or a week, that you are generating more of these flashes more frequently, then I would suggest that you incorporate different rose quartz, this being more flat, smooth, and larger, approximately between 1.5 and 3 inches in diameter. When you are experiencing those time frameworks, you can incorporate that stone. Place that stone in the vicinity between your blue and pink energy center, in your collarbone, not your throat but not your chest, in this area of your collarbone. Place the stone in that area and allow yourself to incorporate the stone in that area for approximately 15 minutes in each time framework. It does not matter how often you do this. That will be more directly, more instantaneously pulling the energy and in more volume, and therefore helping to regulate the body temperature more so. Now, in using these stones, once each day, with both of these stones, depending on the larger stone how often you use it, but if you are using it, for approximately 10 minutes, at some point within your day place the stone outside and place it in a location in which it is directly in contact with sunlight. Allow it to be in the sunlight for approximately 10 minutes. This allows the stone to be released. It empties the stone. The stone has a tremendous capacity for pulling into itself, but it must release that energy periodically. If you are holding the stone every day continuously or very frequently, it will require approximately 10 minutes to drain. If you are not using it daily, then you do not need to generate that action daily. But if you are using it daily, yes. You don't need to be present with the stone when you place it outside. And the location of which you place it outside is not important either. Just be sure that there is sunlight. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel.